have to deal with that bottleneck myself. I work at the NWF headquarters out in Reston 1 day a week, and I have the option to either take public transportation, which is hard because they only provide the bus service like once every half an hour out in Fairfax, or I can carpool with a coworker. So I usually take the carpooling option. And really, to me, I think the number one problem is, especially when it comes to commuting, and I know certainly if you're going out to West Virginia at different times, you might have different problems, but when it comes to commuting, I think the problem is, I look around, I see everybody sitting alone in their SUVs. And I think, no matter how wide we made that road, we'd still have that problem unless we change patterns. That we need to look at the entire way we move people here in Virginia. That, I think we're investing in the Silver Line. I think we need to do more to invest in things like telecommuting, things like 4-day work weeks. We need to definitely invest more in bus and rail service to give people other options besides sitting alone in their SUV on that road. So I'm not for the expansion of I-66, and I certainly think that'll probably be a point of disagreement for us.
Well, no, I think I agree with you on the need to really develop the rail system and so on to get some of this traffic off the road. It's really ridiculous out there, but that's all part of the bigger problem that I think you all are going to face.
Anybody else specifically on I-66? Yeah, sure.
So I don't support widening 66, and I think it's, I live close to that community and have walked those neighborhoods, and I know that there's a promise that was made to Arlington not to widen 66. I think it's a promise that ought to be kept. And I think we can achieve the same goal, which is to move people and to reduce the congestion by investing in rail. So, for example, the Orange Line was designed to go further out the 66 corridor than it currently does. Allowing people the option, extending the Orange Line out 66 would reduce the number of folks who are driving on 66. So I think those are the types of solutions we ought to be thinking about, how to move people around and versus moving cars.
Yeah, I don't support widening 66. I mean, my general view is that we got to focus on moving people, not cars, and that has really been VDOT's response. Whether it doesn't matter what 66, I deal as president of Civic Association Buckingham. Glebe goes right through us, and we have a problem with Glebe Road. And you go to VDOT, and they say because it's a state road, let's widen it. That's not the answer. The answer is mass transit, and we need to start focusing, putting more of our money towards fully funding Metro, fully funding regional rail, making sure that our buses are running on time, making sure that they're reliable, and the Silver Line out is going to be helpful. But you have to understand, we're in this mess because Loudoun and Fairfax did poor planning. Arlington did a very good job 30, 40 years ago in planning the Orange Line, and we're in a very good shape. And because of it, economically, Arlington is doing very well, better than most other jurisdictions because of what we have going through the Metro line. But of course, Fairfax did not go through these growing plans. They didn't go through this planning stage of smart growth. And so we need to put our emphasis, and Fairfax needs to do it too as well. And I'll say this, and this is something that is sort of going out there, but I'll say the only condition, and this is the only condition that I would favor widening 66, is if it is exclusively for bus only. You can put 80 people in a bus, and I've talked to the head of Metro, Cato. They put 80 people in there, and they want to make that option attractive to people in Fairfax. But widening 66 to put more cars out there, in 6 months, we'll be back in the same place we are. It's a wrong-headed way to deal with it. So no to widening 66, focus more of our energies on mass transit, telecommuting, get people off the roads.
Anybody else on I-66?
Yeah, I also don't support widening 66, and I think it's important to note that the late Ellen Bosman fought very hard to make 66 what it is today. If she didn't, and we didn't have the promise that we did, there wouldn't be sound walls, there'd be far more lanes, the Metro would go down the middle. And so, as Alan mentioned, you walk Overly Knolls or Dominion Hills, a lot of those people bought their homes under the condition that it would never be widened. And so you got to give incentives to drivers to get out of their vehicles, incentives like telecommuting, as Miles mentioned. And it also saves small businesses money. It gets people off the road, helps the environment, and a lot of people, they like to be at home with their children. So I think a lot of these issues tie back together, but I don't support the widening of 66. They've been talking about Metro Dallas my entire life. If we had Metro Dallas, what would 66 look like? I think things like that are where we need to look first.
I guess my whole point in this whole thing was Richmond has been not supportive of our transportation needs up here in mass transit. I think that's the big problem.
I think Delegate Al Eisenberg said it best. Everything that needs to be said has been said, but not everybody has said it. Let me say it again. I also do not favor widening Route 66 for the reasons that my colleagues have already expressed.
We know you're in favor of widening it.